handcuffed and escorted. Out by sheriff's deputies. Wednesday's hearing was eventually able to resume. Now, this is the latest incident to grab headlines from this case against 14 defendants standing trial, including rapper Young Thug. Just last month, an attorney for one of the defendants asked to be withdrawn over pay that she called an egregiously low amount for the amount of work and the attention this trial requires. Back in January, Young Thug and a fellow defendant were accused of distributing drugs in a hand-to-hand trade in the courtroom. The trial is now entering its fourth month of jury selection, and attorneys predict that this process could continue through the summer.
All new tonight, the Department of Justice is now getting involved in an investigation into the death of a Fulton County jail inmate.
This comes just hours after the Fulton County Board of Commissioners voted unanimously to approve millions of dollars in emergency funding for the jail. 11 Alive's Don White joining us now live from the jail with a message from that inmate's attorney.
So, Don, what did that...
I can choose to use the remainder of my property to eat without any government assistance. So that's what I do.
Lawyer have to say to
go. He also says what happened inside of this jail needs to be corrected. And
now, I could go and reapply for food assistance from the federal government from my state. But because the emergency is over, I would only get $15. Unless the cost of living of $1 has gone into effect, then I would get $16 and be able to buy 3 hamburgers. If eating sounds difficult, it's because it is.
And a top Republican lawmaker, Michael. We don't really have much time.
This is WLBT First Alert Weather.
We started off the morning at 4:30 this morning. It was somewhat quick.
You never know it, but some of the largest companies here in the Southeast employ a secret team of workers whose only job is to make life a little sweeter for the surrounding community.
And Kaiser Permanente, Georgia, is the latest to join the list at its Glen Lake Comprehensive Specialty Center.
Good Day Atlanta's Paul Milliken recently stopped by.
This good, delicious food should not do that to your brain. Like right now, when I swallow, the back of my head should not be pulling with the food where I can feel everything from my head go. That should not be happening. It should just go down my fucking throat. I can feel it like clog right here. I mean, that's normal. Take a drink. Push your food down. Just normal eating. Except that fucking black mold has my throat swollen because I'm allergic to it. And the money I need to get the fuck out of this black mold, that the part that's not being stolen by the Social Security Administration, I need that shit to buy burgers.
Investigating into this hidden.
It's no surprise.
I mean, if I'm gonna die with a burger in my hand.
Catherine Bonner spends her life surrounded by
Food. There's other unstable living.
Welcome back to Good Day Atlanta.
If you're not a fan of gory horror movies, then
Crews are on the scene of a house fire not far from downtown Atlanta.
I'm gonna eat a fucking burger and file a lawsuit
I'm on the scene there with the latest right.
that you gonna fucking ignore because it makes you a fucking criminal.
Now, Lucy, good morning.
There's of these townhomes at the intersection of Church and Main Street. 5:30 this morning.
I'm sorry. I'm not the faggot that looks at the civil law that says that you're causing a crime and then forget to add the damn criminal code to the crime that you commit. I'm not that lawyer. Try that other guy.
He says, as investigators are expecting to hear.
Good Thursday morning. Welcome back. It is 8 minutes after 5. All right, let's talk about the forecast where we're on kind of rinse and to frequently use one. All right, let's talk about the forecast where we're on kind of rinse. Residents who frequently use one Southwest Atlanta MARTA route will have to find. All right, let's talk about the forecast where we're on kind of rinse. Residents who frequently use one Southwest Atlanta MARTA route will have to find another way around.
a route that covers the.
All right, let's talk about the forecast where we're on kind of rinse and repeat here. It's residents who frequently use one Southwest Atlanta MARTA route will have to find another way around.
A route that covers the Campbellton corridor will be suspended later this month. As Newsnet reporter Joy Dukes tells us, MARTA says it's a matter of safety, but residents want a solution.
All right, let's talk about the forecast where we're on kind of repeat here. It's residents who frequently use one Southwest Atlanta MARTA route will have to find another way around.
A route that.
All right, let's talk about the forecast where we're on kind of rinse and repeat. Residents who frequently use one South.
Yeah, this bitch said, "Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to?" Whoever stole the internet and put me in this box and is using this bitch. That's who the fuck I'm talking to. Hide. I mean, just hide. That bitch can't see your virtual hands. I don't need that bitch to see your virtual hands.
That's where we're on kind of rinse and repeat.
So that we're clear again, I don't need that bitch to know what a hostage is in order for me to off your fucking head. So just hide.
8.
Residents who frequently.
See, for me, it works if I just rip off your fucking head and then explain to the bitch, oh, yeah, he was holding me hostage. And this is what the actual definition of a hostage. And the fact that your dumbass didn't know doesn't have any value anymore.
The need presents itself.
Inside. at a Fulton County courtroom. The jury.
We are moving forward.
Mayor Andre Dickens says.
Outrage. Complete.
Products such as a Dyson curling iron or straightener are not cheap.
3 suspected thieves led Fulton County authorities on a high-speed chip for issues at the Fulton County Jail.
There was once a time where I did not like eating. It was one of my pet peeves, and I mean as an adult, it's just, like if I had to stop working to eat, that shit pissed me off. Like, I gotta eat. I have a hunger headache. Not anymore. If I can keep my palate clean from whatever the fuck they poison me with on a daily basis, if I can keep my palate clean, the taste of food now is so thrilling. But when you add a little simple elaboration to that, even the taste of food is fucked up. I mean, food that tastes this good is not supposed to be part of civil deprivation. No bitch is supposed to give you good food while you're being civilly deprived. That shit is just, unless you're trying to torture a bitch and say, yeah, the best you're gonna get out of life right now is to cook yourself a good meal. Oh, it works.
Yes. Keisha Waits is a city council member. She looked at the downtown city jail and
she's disappeared.
I'm still here.
Unlike my magic skills, with the new Keurig K-Ice brewer, you can't go wrong. Press the brew over ice button for less ice melt and full flavor for the perfect iced coffee every time. Made that disappear, didn't I?
Even though these are 16 and 17-year-olds, we will be charging them as adults in this.
2 teenagers are behind bars in connection with Saturday's mass shooting in Alabama. And within the last 30 minutes, authorities have charged a third person, a 20-year-old. 4 people were killed, 32 others wounded at a dance studio in Dadeville during a birthday party. Fox 5's Tyler Finger was there this morning as Alabama police announced the arrest of those accused killers.
Cobb County Medical Examiner released autopsy results for a protester who Georgia State troopers shot and killed. It happened at the Future Training Center site. Police say Manuel Tehran shot at officers.
Turned out new developments late this afternoon. Fulton County Sheriff Pat Labatt told county commissioners he didn't learn about the state of. Senior I-Team reporter Del Russell was the only reporter in federal court this morning when a local business executive entered a surprise guilty plea to bribery and tax evasion. Good evening, I'm Russ Spencer.
And I'm Alex Whitler in for Courtney Bryant. Jeff Jafari admitted he bribed 2 Atlanta City Council officials and a DeKalb official working undercover for the FBI to help win lucrative engineering contracts. Senior I-Team reporter Del Russell has covered this case since 2019 and was in the court when it all unfolded.
And Alex, it was 2 city officials, not both of them were not city council officials, but he did admit to bribing them. And I first met Jeff during the 1996 Olympics when he was a vendor. At that time, blowing the whistle on an Atlanta city official. Now Jafari is facing some 5 years in prison for bribery and tax evasion that took place some 9 years ago. Mr. Jafari, can you say anything to us? A somber Jeff Jafari entered the federal courthouse to plead guilty in the ongoing FBI-IRS investigation of corruption at City Hall. In 2019, a federal grand jury handed up a 51-count indictment against Jeff Jafari, charging him with bribery, tax evasion, and money laundering. The indictment alleges Jafari paid more than $40,000 to former Mayor Kasim Reed's chief procurement officer, Adam Smith. seen here in an undercover FBI photo. In January of 2018, Smith pleaded guilty to 1 count of bribery conspiracy. The Fox 5 I-team broke the story that 1 week prior to Smith's sentencing, FBI agents raided Jafari's Sandy Springs company. I talked to Jafari 1 week after the raid.
Did it have anything to do with Adam Smith?
I cannot tell you anything.
1 day after this interview, Jafari announced his retirement as vice president of the Pratt Group. Jafari was scheduled to go.
You know, at one point this afternoon, you kind of had that little taste of summer, a little early summer.
Well, yeah. People are significantly preferring the secondary homes or the built homes than the pre-sale ones.
How do you prepare for that? You know, because then not only do you not know what you're going to say, you don't know what the person is going to say to you.
Sure.
Now to the Supreme Court, delaying its decision on whether to wade into the legal battle over an abortion pill. Justices considering a judge ruling that revokes the drug's FDA approval, effectively banning the pill's use, even in states where abortion is legal. Senior national correspondent Terry Moran. Time now for the tea, where we break down some of the buzzy stories people are talking about. I love that word, buzzy.
This is WLBT First Alert Weather.
We started off the morning at 4:30 this morning. It was somewhat clear outside. It's like as we've gotten deep.
And right now we are staying on top of two breaking stories, getting new information this half hour. I'm Brooks Baptiste.
Good morning, I'm Gurveer Denzel. Right now, police are investigating 2 deadly shootings in Northwest Atlanta. That's where we find Atlanta News First's Rebecca Schramm. Rebecca, you've got some new information. What can you tell us?
Yeah, a lot of new information coming within the last half hour, Gurveer. Good morning to you. I want to tell you, I just spoke with a woman who lives here, and she was telling me that the victim in this case is the teenage son of a friend of hers. Police have not confirmed that, but we'll give you a look around here at this complex. Police officers and detectives were here on the scene. We know that according to the call log, police got the call just before 6 a.m. of a person shot. This is Abner Terrace in Northwest Atlanta, not too far from Hollywood Road. The apartment complex is called Flipper Temple Apartments. Officers found one person shot. That person rushed to a hospital but did not survive. We saw detectives speaking with possible witnesses. I'm working to find out details, including what might have led to this shooting. I want to mention this complex is accustomed to crime. In fact, this is the second deadly shooting at this same apartment complex in a matter of weeks. On April 3rd, 4 people were shot here. A 27-year-old man died in that shooting. Back to today's events, I want to give you another live look at a second scene about a mile north of here, also off Hollywood Road. There's another active homicide investigation unfolding right now. Police just told us they are not ruling out that the two scenes might be related. That's a townhome community called One Riverside. Police just told our photojournalist there on the scene that the call came in about 10 minutes after the one I'm reporting from. They found a man there dead on the scene. Back here live at this particular complex, as soon as we get new information in both of these cases, we will, of course, update you on the air and on our Atlanta News First app. Live in Northwest Atlanta, Rebecca Schramm, Atlanta News First.
Just terrible, wow. Rebecca, just terrible. But thank you for staying on top of that for us. And well, a simple but stern message. Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens says the planned public safety training center project
it is moving forward.
And he made that proclamation the same day that a new task force met for the very first time. The goal here is to guide the city through the controversial project's development. Atlanta News First reporter Patrick Quinn live outside Atlanta City Hall for us tonight. Patrick, critics of this project say that it has lacked transparency, and yet today's first meeting was closed to the media and the public.
Yeah, closed doors. We didn't know where it was. I was able to talk with two members who were there at the meeting, and they told me not only was it private, but they had to stick to the issues around the training center, the acreage around the training center and the former prison farm. They really were not asked to focus in on the training center itself, which they said was why they were there in the first place. I asked the mayor about this. He refuted these claims and said that they didn't tell anyone about this and they kept it private for the safety of those involved. But some members tell me that right now they're considering not to be a part of this task force moving forward. The mayor stood by this process and he stood by the project. He said time and again, this training center project has passed approvals from the city, from DeKalb County, from environmental bodies, courts, judges. They've weighed in. And as of now, they've allowed it to move forward. Religious and community leaders stood behind the mayor, literally and figuratively today, saying this is what the city needs to train officers. The mayor was emphatic. The Public Safety Training Center is all systems go.
Every part of this project has been scrutinized and has been found to be fully compliant with the law and all environmental protection requirements. So we are moving forward.
This whole idea was cooked up in a back room somewhere by elected leaders without any public input. And when they already made a decision, then they let the public in. That is the exact opposite of what public service is about.
And that second voice you heard from, he knows something about public service. That's the DeKalb County Commissioner, Ted Terry. He is a part of the team that is taking this issue to the courts. He says he is taking this next to the Superior Court of DeKalb County. He sees environmental concerns there, violations of the Clear Water Act of 1972. We'll see how all that shakes out. Meanwhile, the task force that we mentioned, they will continue to meet this summer. They will provide their recommendations to the city on August 2nd. Outside City Hall, Patrick Quinn, Atlanta News First.
Patrick, thank you.
This is where goodness grows.
It was phenomenal.
Can you believe we're talking about rain on a day where you could barely make out some of the clouds starting to come in from the west? A little bit of a bounce there to our...
That thing will tell you your life.
And right now we are staying on top of two breaking stories, getting new information this half hour. I'm Brooks Baptiste.
Good morning, I'm Grevier Denzel. Right now, police are investigating two deadly shootings in Northwest Atlanta. That's where we find Atlanta News First's Rebecca Schramm. Rebecca, you've got some new information. What can you tell us?
Yeah, a lot of new information coming up.
Right now, as four middle school children sip spiked soda. Good afternoon. I'm Sean Gables.
And I'm Ray Fullbaum. The parents, of course, are furious, demanding to know how this happened. A drug-infused candy getting into their kids' hands. Atlanta News First reporter Rachel Aragon live for us about 25 miles northeast of Atlanta at Shiloh Middle School in Snellville.
And school officials, they're saying several kids got sick this afternoon.
Correct. And in fact, several parents, though, reaching out to me,
Happening right now, a potential National Writers Guild strike threatens Georgia's $4 billion a year film and TV industry.
Members of that union have just authorized a strike if a new contract isn't reached over the next 11 days. Atlanta News First Don Shipman is in Midtown at a popular diner you've probably seen in movies and TV shows.
Yeah, you've probably seen all the cameras and lights and other production equipment.
In other stories we're working on tonight, parents at one Metro Atlanta school fearing for their safety of their children after a soda laced with drugs was passed around the campus.
Now, the student who officials think is behind it all now faces potential criminal charges.
Tonight, a flurry of new questions mounting over a just-released autopsy report for Manuel Tehran. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rick Fulbaugh.
And I'm Sean Gables. The activist was killed by state troopers at the future Atlanta Public Safety Training Center. Troopers say Tehran shot at them first. One of the most startling parts of this report reveals Tehran had 57 gunshot wounds. However, it says only 14 projectiles or fragments were recovered from his body. The autopsy was done by the DeKalb County Medical Examiner's Office.
The new details are coming as crews continue to clear that land for the controversial facility.
Right now, Metro Atlanta is under a code orange alert. That means that the air quality can be unhealthy for people with certain medical conditions or who work outside. Family called for the closure of the Fulton County Jail. For joining us, I'm Alan Devlin.
And I'm Tracy Hutchins. Well, the family says the county hasn't gone far enough in addressing the problems. Atlanta News First reporter Zach Summers, he's live outside the jail. And Zach, you've been on top of this story for more. What's the latest?
Well, the death of LaShawn Thompson now getting the attention of U.S. Senator John Ossoff, who wants the U.S. Attorney General to investigate jail cases across the state. The Thompson's family and their attorney said this cannot happen to another inmate.
We ain't gonna let you pass it with time. Now just follow the shots.
Mija, talk to me. Isa.
Well, a simple but stern message. Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens says the planned public safety training center project, it is moving forward.
And he made that proclamation the same day that a new task force met for the very first time. The goal here is to guide the city through the controversial project's development. Atlanta News First reporter Patrick Quinn live outside Atlanta City Hall for us tonight. Patrick, critics of this project say that it has lacked transparency, and yet today's first meeting was closed to the media and the public.
Yeah, closed doors. We didn't know where it was. I was able to talk with two members who were there at the meeting, and they told me not only was it private, but they had to stick to the issues around the training center, the acreage around the training center and the former prison farm. They really were not asked to focus in on the training center itself, which they said was why they were there in the first place. I asked the mayor about this. He refuted these claims and said that they didn't tell anyone about this and they kept it private for the safety of those involved. But some members tell me that right now they're considering not to be a part of this task force moving forward. The mayor stood by this process and he stood by the project. He said time and again, this training center project has passed approvals from the city, from DeKalb County, from environmental bodies, courts, judges. They've weighed in. And as of now, they've allowed it to move forward. Religious and community leaders stood behind the mayor, literally and figuratively today, saying this is what the city needs to train officers. The mayor was emphatic. The Public Safety Training Center is all systems go.
Every part of this project has been scrutinized and has been found to be fully compliant with the law and all environmental protection requirements. So we are moving forward.
This whole idea was cooked up in a back room somewhere by elected leaders without any public input. And when they already made a decision, then they let the public in. That is the exact opposite of what public service is about.
And that second voice you heard from, he knows something about public service. That's DeKalb County Commissioner Ted Terry. He is a part of the team that is taking this issue to the courts. He says he is taking this next to the Superior Court of DeKalb County. He sees environmental concerns there, violations of the Clear Water Act of 1972. We'll see how all that shakes out. Meanwhile, the task force that we mentioned,
Problems continue to plague the YSL court proceedings. The courtroom right here evacuated this afternoon, further delaying the longest running jury selection in Georgia's history. Atlanta News First, Carly Barnett, live tonight outside the Fulton County Courthouse. Carly, there was a lot happening there today.
Sean, a lot of chaos. Our cameras capturing the sound of yelling coming outside of the courtroom, coming from who we're told was one of the defendants. Now, unclear why that defendant was removed in the first place, but after several minutes, eventually everybody was told to just get out. Our video from inside the courtroom shows Jeffrey Williams, better known as rapper Young Thug, looking surprised as shouting came from outside the courtroom. It happened around 4:30 Wednesday. The person screaming, according to defense attorney Suri Chana Jimenez, was defendant Rodalius Ryan.
And all of a sudden, a bunch of deputies got up, stood up, walked towards Mr. Ryan, and asked him to go to the back.
That's when he said they heard the yelling. His client and another defendant went to the door to try to see what was wrong.
My client had nothing to do with whatever happened today. I represent Mr. Dorsey. But when Mr. Ryan was taken to the back, we could hear him screaming from the back. So obviously, a lot of the people were upset. A lot of people were concerned.
Fulton County deputies tried to get control and ultimately forced everyone in the room to leave. But this isn't the only drama in the high-profile racketeering and gang activity case. A few weeks ago, a potential juror was filming court proceedings. Back in January, a defendant allegedly tried to share drugs in the courtroom.
They're making a spectacle out of a very serious proceeding. Our clients have a right to a trial, a fair trial, without a circus surrounding it.
But Wednesday, Chana Jimenez blamed the chaos on the sheriff's office.
And the only thing I can think of is they're trying to get something else in the headlines to take away from the bed bugs, take away from the steak dinners, take away from everything that is happening at Rice Street. Our clients are suffering because of that.
Well, we reached out to the Fulton County Sheriff's Office to try to get more information on what happened. They simply told us the investigation is ongoing. Now things are scheduled to pick back up tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Live outside the courthouse, Carly Barnett, Atlanta News First.
Details about the death of a protester at the future site of the Atlanta Public Safety Training Center. An autopsy report from the DeKalb County Medical Examiner shows Manuel Terran died from at least 57 gunshot wounds, while state police were attempting to clear the site back in January. These were shots police say they fired only after they received from the protesters. I'm Rick Fulbaugh.
And I'm Sean Gables. Those 57 wounds, significantly higher than what was discovered in the Terran family's private autopsy released back in March. Atlanta News First, Alan Devlin joins us in studio for more information on tonight's autopsy release. What are some of the key takeaways, Alan?
Yeah, Rick, Sean, so we've been digging through this one since it was first released to Atlanta News First. Here's what we have uncovered so far. So we got our hands on the autopsy report from the family attorney for Manuel Terran, and they are demanding answers tonight, claiming Terran would never hurt anybody. Today, they got some of those answers. Now, according to this newly released autopsy, and contrary to an independent autopsy commissioned by the family, as you heard Sean just say, Terran had 57 gunshot wounds, and there was no soot, sibling, seating, or gunpowder residue found with any of his clothing or any of his gunshot wounds. Terran's family released a statement through their family attorney today as well, and had this to say, quote, "We are devastated to learn that our child, our sweet Manny, was mercilessly gunned down by police and suffered 57 bullet wounds all over their body. We cannot even begin to determine what happened on the morning of January 18th until the GBI does its investigation." Now, it's important to note, with even the lack of gun residue on Terran's hands in the autopsy, that does not mean Terran did not fire a weapon, which Georgia State Patrol maintains is what happened. Sean?
Back there, Alan. Thank you. Now this.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need. With the money we saved, we tried electric unicycles.
I think I got it.
Doggy paddle, only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
This new autopsy report coming on the very same day as the first meeting for the task force assigned to shape the future of the Public Safety Training Center.
Atlanta News First, Tori Cooper, continuing our team coverage live from City Hall. And Tori, the mayor simply said today the city is moving forward with this development.
Yes, he did, Rick. And he also made it very clear tonight that despite sources telling Atlanta News First that members of the task force were told today that they wouldn't be able to provide input on the public safety training site, he says he wants members of the task force to know to bring their best ideas to the table for consideration on the site. On the steps of City Hall.
When I met with this group of people standing behind me and beside me today, they told me that they had something to say.
Mayor Andre Dickens inviting more voices in Atlanta to talk about the controversial public safety training site in the county.
We have to provide training for the young men and women that are keeping us safe.
Ambassador Andrew Young, one of the many community leaders standing behind the project with Dickens.
Earlier today, I met with several other members of the community.
It is very easy to forget about it here in Atlanta, but large parts of rural Georgia still do not have access to high-speed broadband internet.
And that can really affect a lot of things, everything from remote work to schooling to streaming television. But as Atlanta News First Joshua Skinner tells us, one North Georgia county is about to get a $20 million solution to that problem.
This is a map of Union County in North Georgia. These small little blue splotches, the only parts of the county currently served by high-speed broadband internet. But a new project set to begin soon will affect all of this in green, and it'll bring high-speed fiber internet to over 8,000 additional homes. Lamar Harris has been the sole commissioner in Union County for over 2 decades, and he's been pushing for better internet access.
Oh my gosh, a long time.
But time is finally on Paris's side. Kinetic by Windstream announced today it will begin installation of over 500 miles of fiber optic cable throughout the county, thanks to a public-private partnership totaling $20.5 million.
We're going to be more excited in probably 3 to 6 months when the work actually starts on the ground.
It also has Michael Ford, Kinetic's president of operations, excited about the applications.
You have rural residents here who can't watch streaming TV. They can't update their cell phones. They can't work from home. There's just such a dire need.
One of those major needs is schooling.
They can take their smart tablets home, their Chromebooks, whatever they're using to learn, and they can get their schooling from home.
Which means no more blaming poor internet for skipping out on homework, which is a bummer. In all, 8,300 homes will be serviced, and Paris hopes it's a positive step in making Union County an attractive place for visitors and future residents.
Really, really exciting that this is going to happen.
In Union County, Joshua Skinner, Atlanta News.
And commissioners taking big steps tonight to help clean up the Fulton County Jail. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rick Foldown.
And I'm Sean Gables. The calls for closure have been growing louder after an inmate death that may have been caused by a severe bed bug infestation.
Atlanta News First reporter Chelsea Bynford live for us outside the jail tonight. So Chelsea, what changes are coming?
Well, guys, tonight the Fulton County Board of Commissioners unanimously approved more than $5 million that will be spent to help clean this place up and better monitor those inmates inside. Now, the money will be put towards deep cleaning this jail building bi-weekly, purchasing new surveillance cameras, machines to better monitor contraband, and real-time trackers that can monitor inmates' heart rates and blood pressure levels. $1 million will also help hire new support staff. District 1 Commissioner Bridget Thorne says all of the commissioners are working together and working with the Sheriff's Office to try and fix the problems here as quickly as possible.
We hope that the expenditures today will help and this will begin. And I hope that we get procedures in place that will mitigate any of this from ever happening.
And commissioners also approved nearly $870,000 tonight to continue with phase 2 of a jail feasibility study, which started back in 2021. Ultimately, that could result in the county building a new jail altogether, which is what some commissioners say is necessary. Reporting live in Fulton County tonight, Chelsea Bynford, Atlanta News First.
A jolt to Atlanta's electric vehicle market, the city just announcing a new partnership with Hertz to get more EVs on our streets and more chargers along the way. But the program is also hoping to drive students into the growing market. Atlanta News First reporter Don Shipman in downtown Atlanta right after speaking with the mayor and a student at Atlanta Public Schools.
Yeah, this new partnership will help the city with its EV infrastructure. For example, building out more charging stations like these right here. But city leaders also say it's going to help to provide critical training for the next generation of EV technicians right here in Atlanta.
Then you leave us already entrepreneurs.
As the U.S. gears up for a mass rollout of electric vehicles, Atlanta city leaders announcing a new partnership today with the car rental company Hertz, which plans to massively build out its fleet of electric vehicles here in Atlanta. Some 4,000 new EVs hitting the road locally, the company's third largest EV flight in the country.
We need technicians and mechanics and others who are trained up on new technology around electric vehicles.
I love cars. The big concern right now, a looming skills gap. Not enough mechanics to fix and maintain EVs.
We have never worked on electric. We have talked about getting into it, and this will help start us off.
Senior Brandon Johnson referring to a brand new electric car Hertz is donating to the automotive program at Atlanta Public Schools. While students get hands-on learning in EV technology, Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens says that the city will begin installing new charging stations, adding to its current total of more than 3,000, based on data provided by Hertz of where electric vehicles congregate and are needed most.
Our climate action plan includes this ambitious 40% emissions reduction targets by 2030. I'm sorry I won't be able to do much with it, but I'm glad the generations after me will.
And Brandon right there tells me that he plans to go to Georgia Tech in the fall. Now, as part of this announcement today, the rideshare company Uber says that it also plans to increase its fleet here in the city. In downtown Atlanta, Don Shipman, Atlanta News First.
Talk to me, Isa.
The universe is gonna give you just I know times are hard right now.
At least for now. Today, the U.S. Supreme Court was supposed to decide the fate of access to abortion pills across the country. But within the past 2 hours, the High Court decided to put off that decision until Friday. Now, they will decide whether to let lower court rulings stand that would restrict access to methadone, a drug used to terminate pregnancies. Now, this case challenges the FDA's approach to regulating the drug. The much anticipated decision will not only determine access to that drug, mifepristone, but also raises questions about the FDA's authority. Atlanta News First reporter Abby Kasouris breaks down what this means for Georgia families.
This ruling continues to drag out with Georgia women seeking abortion services caught in the balance. The majority of abortions are performed by pill, and mifepristone has been approved by the FDA for more than 2 decades.
The one word I would use to describe it all is pure and utter chaos.
Alicia Hughes, visiting assistant professor at Emory University, has been watching for a ruling from the U.S. Supreme Court. The Biden administration has asked the justices to block a ruling from a federal judge in Texas who revoked FDA approval for the abortion pill mifepristone. Hughes says the Texas ruling could have greater implications beyond the drug and challenge the prescription of other FDA-approved drugs for cancer treatment as well as vaccines.
On one hand, we're dealing with this with an abortion pill right now. What if another group decides that they have an issue with the drug that treats another issue?
Georgia Right to Life has more than 30 chapters across the state. Director Zemi Flex says pro-life groups across the state are prepared to help pregnant mothers, and they say an abortion is not the answer.
The abortion pill is not in any way helping women. It will harm women.
The Georgia Life Alliance says that chemical abortions are at least 4 times more likely than surgical abortions to result in some kind of serious complication.
Of course, we hear often the term abortion is health care. Technically, what is happening here, we're not giving health care to women when we're giving them something that could potentially even kill them.
6 out of the 9 justices on the Supreme Court are conservative. majority led to the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Still, that does not mean that the majority will side with this Texas judge and his ruling. In Druid Hills, I'm Abby Kasoris.
And people in Mapleton, they have a whole new government tonight. The city held its first elections Tuesday after splitting from Cobb County last year. That's where we find Atlanta News first political reporter Doug Reardon about 14 miles northwest of Atlanta, where Doug spoke to a few of those new public officials on their vision about the future. Doug?
Yeah, well, it is certainly an exciting day here in Mapleton. Was yesterday, too. You can still see some of the signs, literally, of this historic election, the very first one that Mapleton had as a city. And so now these new elected leaders will be tasked with something interesting. They're going to have to reconcile differences between people who wanted to stay as part of Cobb County and those who are excited for a new future as a new city. Teresa Bailey has lived most of her life in what is now the city of Mapleton. She says even for those who didn't want to split from Cobb County in a referendum last year, Tuesday's inaugural elections for the city are a point of no return, and a good one, in her opinion.
I really do think this is a coming together. It is done. We are a city that's not turning back.
Bailey says her neighbors in Mapleton should be excited for the new development and opportunities that will come with being out on their own.
I think there are going to be so many more options for us down here, and to not have to go outside of our neighborhoods and our communities to have the same benefits and amenities and services that other parts of the county have.
Cityhood supporters felt neglected by the county, and Mapleton now has more say over zoning and development in their new city.
It's a daunting task, but it's one I'm up for the challenge.
Michael Owens fielded handshakes and congratulatory phone calls on his first official day as Mapleton mayor. Soon, with his new city council, they'll have to pick a city manager, city attorney, figure out how to migrate services from Cobb County to Mapleton. According to the terms of the split, they have 2 years to do it.
There's no substantive change that happens right now. The county is providing services. The county will continue to provide services until the city is ready and capable.
Turnout Tuesday was relatively low, but newly elected Councilman TJ Ferguson says now the work starts of bridging gaps, making sure residents who want growth and history both get what they want.
As we continue to grow, they're going to still be able to have pockets of that small town outside of Atlanta feel, while also having the restaurants that they want to go to, while also having the shopping places that they want to go to.
And Mapleton really is on their own for this. In February, Governor Brian Kemp passed on his ability to set up a transition team. That is with the power of the governor. He decided not to do that. And so now negotiating between the city and the county for things like the services we just talked about will have to be the task of these new elected officials. It is quite a task at that. We're live in Mapleton tonight. Doug Reardon, Atlanta News First.
Tonight, DeKalb County Schools has a new head of class despite outcry from parents and advocacy groups. Well, a new superintendent was selected today. Thanks for joining us at 5. I'm Tracy Hutchins.
I'm Alan Devlin. So this is Dr. Devon Horton, whose selection sparked contentious debate across the state. Atlanta News First, Rachel Aragon is live at the school board headquarters in Stone Mountain. So Rachel, how did this vote play out?
Yeah, just like the overall search and selection process, today's meeting, though, was a bit contentious. Still, though, school board voted in favor strongly 6-1 to have Dr. Horton lead the school district. After a year-long search, DeKalb County School Board tapped sole finalist Dr. Devon Horton to lead the district.
I'm overwhelmingly excited. This is an unbelievable opportunity.
But Dr. Horton wasn't everyone's first pick. In a letter, the state superintendent urged the board to pause the search and keep interim superintendent Dr. Vincent Tinsley at the helm.
I respect you all. I'm going to be respected.
And today, board member Joyce Morley backing Dr. Tinsley as well, explaining why she felt Dr. Horton was unqualified for the role.
Coming from a school population of 1,500 employees, almost 15,000, on 7,000 students, almost 93, a $592 million budget, to almost a $2.6 billion budget.
The district has had a revolving door of superintendents, some serving less than 2 years. Today, the school board chair assuring the public found
there will be stability.
Within our policies, procedures, commit to our protocols, work with GSBA.
Dr. Horan will be leading a has had its share of challenges. Last April, students at Druid High School exposed what they called unacceptable conditions.
I understand that there are some things that need to be addressed.
We need to find out how can we keep good employees.
Dr. Horan says he has a list of priorities to tackle at the start of the new school year.
There's a lot of foundational pieces that we have to work on as an organization. The work has already started. Dr. Timms has done some remarkable work to get us where they are, and I want to build on that.
And Dr. Horan also says he plans to reach out to the state superintendent and says with confidence he believes they'll be able to work together to improve this district. School board also noting that they're still working out Dr. Horton's official start date. We're live in DeKalb County. Rachel Aragon, Atlanta News First.
Rachel, thank you.
The Hyundai Tucson comes with America's best warranty. It's like a mental vacation from worry that no other brand offers. Free from worry on ski trips, at the beach, don't get too sandy now, or way out in wherever. Take a mental vacation or a vacation in the Hyundai Tucson and leave those worries behind. The Hyundai Tucson with America's best warranty.
Mija, York, talk to me. Isa.
New at 6, a drag show for families planned in Forsyth County this weekend will not happen after all.
The organizer says safety was the driving factor behind canceling what had become a controversial event. Atlanta News First Megan Packer joins us live from Sexton Hall near Cumming with reaction to this story. Megan.
Rick and Sean, drag performers were planning to rent out this county building like anybody can do if they take the proper steps for this event this coming Sunday, but now it's canceled. Take a look at the flyer for this event called a Family Fun Show. $10 tickets for face painting, dancing, and other activities. I spoke with the organizer, a drag performer who goes by the name Mrs. Ivan, who says this was supposed to be a fun event for people of all ages with no malicious intentions at all. But after hearing a lot of negative feedback, including plans by some to possibly come out and protest, organizers decided to call this off. We spoke with people who live in the county about this today, and they've got different feelings about this.
This area is geared more old-fashioned family values. I don't think there's a place for that here.
Drag queens are awesome. I think they're tons of fun, and I think they have a right to, to have a show.
I did talk to the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office today, and a spokesperson told me via email that they've looked into the troubling posts that have surfaced about this, and at this point there have been no criminal threats identified. Investigators say that everything at this point is deemed free speech as far as the concerning posts in the eyes of the organizer. Now tonight at 9 o'clock, here on the drag performer who organized and then canceled the show, along with the Georgia congressman who is hosting his own family fun day now here in Forsyth County on Sunday, same time as that original drag performance. We are live in Forsyth County this evening. I'm Megan Packer, Atlanta News First.
Thank you, Megan.
Update tonight on a young Georgia weightlifter with the winning spirit. When Atlanta News First saw your bus, he first introduced us to him. He was headed off to an international competition in Europe.
Yeah, very lucky. Not only was he triumphant, but his success also proving to be contagious.
We're get going, okay?
The belief in this room is that anyone.
We're in meet prep because we're competing on Memorial Weekend in Chicago. Up, 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 up. Get up, get up, get up. All the way, straighten your legs, and right.
Anyone.
The most empowering thing in life is strength. I like to show people what they can do as opposed to what they can't do.
Once a week, Josh Porter trains a group of people with disabilities.
He lets the kids train for 3 years. Tell me about what he does, and I'm like, bring him over. And he looked at me and I said, bring him over. Anybody who lift.
Every week, they have become stronger and stronger.
Harper could not stand up out of a chair unassisted. Harper is now deadlifting over 150 pounds. Strength training is so important for any and everyone. I was so ready. But strength training is especially important for people with intellectual disabilities. Their obesity rates are even higher than the national average.
The last time we met Coach Porter and Dave qualified for a world championship competition in England, and they were fundraising.
He won a world championship competing against other 18 and 19-year-olds, not a Special Olympics.
Josh knew the other people he trains with will have opportunities like Dave did, and he didn't want their families to have to worry about money when trying to give a hard-earned experience to their kids.
The more and more we can get, the more and more I can spend on them.
Big Dog Barbell is now an official 501c3.
One of the members here at the gym is a lawyer. He did the legal work for me pro bono. My dad's a CPA.
The whole point of the nonprofit is to make sure these people have as many open doors to the world as possible, to make sure their paths are always lined with possibility.
They're just really amazing humans.
At Roswell Barbell, Sawyer Bussey.
1, 2, 3.
I love that. Anybody can lift, right? And lift in spirits too. All right.
Update tonight on a young Georgia weightlifter with the winning spirit. When Atlanta News First Sawyer Bussey first introduced us to him, he was headed off to an international competition in Europe.
Yeah, very lucky. Not only was he triumphant, but his success also proven to be contagious.
Where are you going, okay?
The belief in this room is that anyone can lift.
We're in meet prep because we're competing on Memorial Weekend in Chicago. Up, 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 up. Get up, get up, get up. All the way, straighten your legs, and right.
Anyone.
The most empowering thing in life is strength. I like to show people what they can do, what they can't do.
Once a week, Josh Porter trains a group of people with disabilities.
He lets the kids train for free. He's telling me about what he does, and I'm like, bring him over. And he looked at me and I said, bring him over. Anybody can lift.
Every week, they have become stronger and stronger.
Harper could not stand up out of a chair unassisted. Harper is now deadlifting over 150 pounds. Strength training is so important for any and everyone. I was so ready. But strength training is especially important for people with intellectual disabilities. Their obesity rates are even higher than the national average.
The last time we met Coach Porter and Dave qualified for a world championship competition in England, and they were fundraising.
He won a world championship competing against other 18 and 19-year-olds, not a Special Olympics.
Josh knew the other people he trains with will have opportunities like Dave did, and he didn't want their families to have to worry about money when trying to give a hard-earned experience to their kids.
The more and more we can get, the more and more I can spend on them.
Big Dog Barbell is now an official 501c3.
One of the members here at the gym is a lawyer. He did the legal work for me pro bono. My dad's a CPA.
The whole point of the nonprofit is to make sure these people have as many open doors to the world as possible, to make sure their paths are always lined with possibility.
They're just really amazing.
At Roswell Barbell, Sawyer Bussey.
1, 2, 3.
Atlanta News First.
I love that. Anybody can lift, right? And lift in spirits too. All right.
Let's go. Talk to me. Isa.
The universe is gonna give you just less. I know times are hard right now.
Sheriff Patrick Labatt speaks in front of the Board of Commissioners about long-standing issues.
Said the Fed is closer to the end than the beginning of its tightening cycle.
I anticipate that monetary policy will need to move somewhat further.
So Ted DiBiase Jr. is one of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, 6 counts of wire fraud, 2 counts of theft concerning programs receiving funds, and 4 counts of money laundering related to the misuse of millions of temporary assistance for needy families and emergency food assistance program funding. Our statewide news partner WLBC reports that DiBiase is accused of using the money meant for needy families to buy a boat and vehicle along with a down payment on a home. Federal prosecutors believe DiBiase through his company is, quote, entered at least 5 scam contracts, unquote, with the Family Resource Center of North Mississippi, Tupelo, and the Mississippi Community Education Center. Contract mentioned in the indictment total $2.2 million. Ashley, welcome.
Today we saw temperatures back in the middle 80s, but we have seen them drop as we've gone further into our Thursday night, now ranging anywhere from the upper 60s to the middle 70s. Currently 68 degrees in Central, 71 in Tupelo, 72 in Aberdeen, 73 at the Air Force Base, and 75 degrees right now in Oxford. Through the rest of the night, temperatures will drop, heading towards the upper 50s to lower 60s. Cold front heading our way brings cooler temperatures and our next chance of rain by the end of the week. Wednesday.
You probably know today is 420, and some locals thought what better day to open a dispensary.
And she's just so easy to talk to. She's just like another friend sitting there. Debbie knows me. He listens to my concerns. I've been in all 3 rooms here. Weight loss, blood pressure, his wife and skincare. I have recommended my friends, family, coworkers, and I have never heard anything.
Of homemade crusty bread and have an automatic dinner.
I mean, that's awesome, especially for some of those people out there who are working late hours. You take those, you can stock them, and then you get home, you throw them in the oven, and you're done. That's a win-win to me. So yes, thank you so much for being with us today. And cheers, everyone. I'm gonna keep stirring my little sweetener.
Is high. All across the country are struggling with putting in the streets. Unfortunately, over the past few years, the pipeline for new officers has been running low. The Justice Department reports less than 8,000 sworn officers statewide in Mississippi. WTV's Garner Montgomery tells us how Oxford is working to find a solution.